Something a little bit different. I mean, I say that every week, but this is a little bit different. It's a large, possibly 7-seat SUV. That's electric, and it's from Mercedes-Benz. It's the EQB. You can tell, David, that this is the electrified version because the grille is solid and there's blue touches on the lights. They're LED lights, obviously. It's related to the GLB, but still manages to have a flat floor, so they've got the batteries concealed under the floor. It's aimed at families.
It's getting electric vehicles into the Mercedes class, but in an interesting way.
Thus the EQ moniker. Do you think it fits, David? Shall we have a look?
Let's have a look.
The side profile of this is basically, it's a GLB, is what it is. It's got unique wheels for this electric version. It's an EQB and it says so in blue letters. And this, of course, is the 350 version, which has a front motor and a rear motor.
And so no room for a third row of seats.
No room for a third row of seats, which is a $2,900 option on the 250. David, the roof.
It is very traditional SUV, squarish look. It doesn't have a sloping sportsback type roof that some modern SUVs have.
What's going to annoy me, David?
Eh?
What's going to annoy me?
Alan, I point out here that to your particular enjoyment.
Oh God, why?
A little bump.
It looks like they're trying to join this line to that line and they couldn't figure out how to do it. David, branding, I love branding, and the back of the Mercedes has Mercedes symbols all over it. Not only has it got EQB 350 on it, and 4MATIC on it, which is Mercedes all-wheel drive system, whether it's a mechanical one or this, the electrical one with the motor at each end, and it's got the Mercedes symbol. Have a look at this. If you put that in reverse, it tilts out and the little camera comes out from underneath, which also protects it from water. So you don't get sprays of water up. Or you can tilt VW style and that will open the tailgate. And because this is a Mercedes-Benz that's electric and there is a rear motor, there's bugger all on the back. It's just the tyre repair kit and so forth. David,
Alan, how would you put an extra row of seats in there? You'd have to be Houdini.
well, it wouldn't have the rear electric motor, so there's a little space under the floor, but I think it would be for the vertically challenged only.
Oh, very much so. All right, Alan, I'll get going. Just the electric seats, where do I...
We do have seat heating and cooling, but you're going to have to use buttons and knobs to adjust your seat. It does say there's electric controls in the bump, but no, this has got the Mercedes winder for the back and so forth. No, see, now you've turned the air conditioning off.
What? How did I do that?
I do not know how you did that.
Alan, I was just trying to pull it into gear.
No, up here on the side.
Of course, Mercedes.
Yeah. I've been driving this for the last week, and every time I go around a left-hand corner or a right-hand corner, right-hand's not so bad, that's trying to put it back into drive, but if I go in a left-hand corner, I'm putting it into neutral. Shall we head off?
If I put it into neutral,
yep.
Do I have to have my foot on the brake to get it into drive?
No, it did go back into drive,
Thank
thankfully.
heavens for that.
So this is your first time driving?
It is.
We've struggled a little bit with these controls. Not like the C200 that we drove. This feels a little bit different.
Well, yes, the pad there is dangerous to me. My hand sometimes just drops down to that.
Now they've got a little pad here that looks like the gear lever in an Audi, but it's just a pad, which strikes me as rather odd. But we do have a lot of information up here on the screen, and this section is a touch screen. We've got the aviation style outlets here, which we saw in the C200, which I very much like, David. How's the power, David?
Smooth, good electric. I haven't floored it, but it's more than enough just to...
You do have drive modes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Alan, the extreme drive mode is something you would really only use once or twice, wouldn't you? Yeah,
Well, it's not that
nice.
extreme in this because it is a rather large car. It's a rather heavy car. Okay, just stop for a sec. Just stop. I'm just gonna slip you into sport mode. Now try it. Now, did you notice that there's a little pull?
Yes.
A bit of torque steer, which I think was quite alarming. I noticed when I put it into sport and took off, I had it in sport and took off at a set of lights. I didn't quite expect that level of pull.
The Genesis was so sure-footed when you accelerated it.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. The Germans, you're doing it again. What are you doing?
It's giving me some detection here, is it?
Oh, you got parking on. That's why.
Oh, did I knock parking on? When did I knock parking on?
Oh, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I've been turning things on and off, and I really don't know what I'm doing. This has got automated parking, of course, and it's activated by one of the many things, but this is one of those sorts of cars, David, that you are going to have to get into and familiarise yourself with. It is not like the controls are unfamiliar to me. Take the steering wheel, for example. On the left-hand side of the audio controls, and I couldn't find out how to get onto the next track. And the only way I could do it was to use the little mini trackpad dash button there's one on each side of the steering wheel, and go into that section, go into the music section and do it there. Now there's probably another way to do it, but my point about it is that it's not immediately obvious when you get into the car.
Oh, these mini pads, I'm far too all thumbs to be one that can adapt to that quickly.
Well, of course, this does have voice control with that, hey, Mercedes. So if you say that and then give it a command, it will do something. So chances are, whatever you want to do, you could use voice control, or you can use the hey Siri, and your phone will do it. You know, so for example, if I was to now give it a command and say, hey Mercedes,
how can I help?
set air conditioning to 19 degrees.
The temperature is set to 19 degrees.
That's fairly painful if you've got a whole bunch of kids in the car.
My experience with children and grandchildren would confirm the difficulty of that.
Oh, David, I've just turned on my bum chiller.
Oh, have you?
Oh, you give yours give over here the button furthest away from you up top. Yep, give that a press. Oh yes. Oh, that's lovely.
Now that's strong. Some of them I've been in recently.
They're a little bit subtle.
Yeah. I like a good blast.
You like a little bit of a blow up the Khyber. So to speak.
That's a little bit more too graphic for my desires.
Now I'm behind the wheel, someone a little more familiar with the car, and I do feel quite confident. I do feel that it's going to go. Well, oh, David, I nearly did it again. I nearly put it into neutral. I simply cannot get used to that. I really do feel that this is very nippy, very nippy. What do you think about the ride? Now, it does vary with drive mode. What do you think about the ride?
We're on an older area of Sydney that has a lot of concrete roads or poor roads. I think it's coping with it quite well.
Well, it's these speed bumps that are giving me the dry trots. There's a speed bump every 5.5 metres. It's extraordinary. I mean, do they not trust anybody in this suburb?
No.
And this is, David, I think the natural habitat of this, which is that to be going through the leafier suburbs of whatever capital city. Don't think it's going to be used long distance because the range on this is a little bit disappointing. It's got a 66 or something kilowatt hour battery, which it's adequate, but it's certainly not long range. It's about 14 less than the Genesis I was in, the GV60. The range was about 400 kilometres, I think, when I picked this up. And the other thing, of course, is that the charging, this will only charge up to 100 kilowatts. It's slow. People don't ask that question when they go to buy an EV. because that depends on how long your trip is going to take. It isn't just the range. It isn't simply a matter of range, David. It is also a matter of the speed of charge. So if you go to a 50 kilowatt charger or a 100 kilowatt charger or a 150 kilowatt charger, how fast your car charges depends on how long you're going to spend at that facility.
We're not far from the golf club, which I think might be appropriate for a Mercedes-Benz.
Yes, I'm surprised they don't tell us how many golf clubs fit in the back of this.
Not very many.
It's come time, as it always does at this time of the review, to hit like.
And leave a comment.
And I think over there, to subscribe.